welcome everyone. I'm Katie Duffy. I am one of the admissions advisors here at SUNY Plattsburgh, so thank you for joining in to our STEM WebEx. I'm joined by two faculty members here, Del Hart.
Hi. I'm the chair of the computer science department.
And also Michael Walters.
I'm a member of the physics department and one of the people in the robotics end of things.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about a lot of the different STEM programs that we offer here at Plattsburgh. Kind of some cool opportunities for hands-on learning that are unique to our programs here, and we'll talk about some career opportunities, and we'll wrap it up with some of the admissions requirements towards the end. You do have the opportunity to type in questions. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can type them into a little Q&A box, and we can read them on the screen and get the input of admissions and our faculty that are here. There will also be a few polling questions throughout the event, so hopefully you participate in those. Those are always kind of fun to see what everybody is interested in learning about. So without much further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so probably a lot of you have heard a lot of emphasis on STEM majors, science, technology, engineering, and math. These are really, it's a really growing field in terms of careers. So SUNY Plattsburgh is really striving to keep up with that in terms of all the majors that we offer, the learning opportunities, the facilities that we have here on campus, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit more in a bit. As a whole, we're accredited by Middle States Association, but in addition to that, many of our programs carry their own program-specific accreditations. Chemistry comes to mind. A lot of these programs at Plattsburgh, they'll prepare you very well for further graduate studies, depending on what you want to pursue. A lot of the programs will also, they'll prepare you for employment immediately after receiving your bachelor's degree. So I do have a polling question that I'm going to pop up here. Hopefully this works for you. Just before we get too much further into the presentation. All right, so why were you interested in joining today's event? And there's a couple of fun answers there. Fit into your schedule, distance to campus, the ability to talk to faculty, or you wanted to stay in your pajamas, or all of the above. We'll give you a few seconds to answer that. Now, it looks like for most of you that was because it fit into your schedule, so we're glad we were able to offer something. Hopefully that was convenient for you. This will be recorded, and this will actually be put up online, so you can go back to it at a later date. Okay. We'll move along here. There we go. Okay, so this isn't all of the programs that we have at SUNY Plattsburgh, but it gives you a pretty good idea of the range of programs within STEM at Plattsburgh. We have a lot of programs within the biology department, so this includes general biology, biochemistry, biomedical sciences. A lot of students that are interested in going into health careers will typically choose a major in biology or biomedical sciences, which gives them all the core requirements that they need for medical school. We actually have a couple of unique programs within the biology department as well. There's a medical technology program, which really prepares students to kind of work in a laboratory setting doing fluid analysis. Cytotechnology is another program that basically prepares students to work in a lab doing the study of cells. So if someone goes to get a biopsy done, that is the person doing the analysis of that biopsy. Those two majors in particular really prepare students for a career that's heavily in demand right upon graduation. They're kind of a unique setup in that the student does 3 years at SUNY Plattsburgh taking classes heavily in biology and in the sciences, and then their 4th year is actually basically like a year-long internship that they'll do, could be at a hospital or at some other medical institution, so that they get that degree in the end. We have chemistry, of course. We have our computer science program, so we have computer science, security, and information technology. And since you're here, if you want to maybe give us a little bit of an overview about those programs.
Sure. Computer science is the kind of traditional degree that students often go for. Generally, the careers that people are looking at after computer science are software development, programming types of jobs. But in general, the computer science background prepares you for almost anything within the field of computing in general. And that's probably the primary degree that employers look for. Computer security and information technology are more specialized degrees. The information technology degree would be careers like system administration or eventually like networks, computer network manager or database manager or administrator. So those are more specialized degrees, somewhat more applied, but they still have a strong background in the computing field. Just in general, probably less software development. And computer security also is one where there's not as much software development. It's more focused on, how you secure the programs and the systems and detect threats and respond to things. There's a good, strong foundation so that you understand what's happening very well inside the machines, but it's more specialized for that area. So that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, so that you summarized the computer science department nicely, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the facilities and hands-on learning opportunities that are available in those programs. Continuing on with some of the other fields in STEM that we offer at Plattsburgh, we have the Center for Earth and Environmental Science, which actually is comprised of many different majors, so things like earth science, geology, environmental science, environmental studies. If someone's looking to become an earth science teacher, we actually have an option where you can pair that up with one of our BA MST programs. So you get your bachelor's and your master's in teaching in 5 years. That's the earth science option is actually a fairly new offering, so we're excited about that. Environmental science might be a good background for someone who wants to go into conservation, become a conservation officer. Environmental studies is a good program for students who are interested in maybe going into environmental policy or environmental law or planning and management. So that's a really growing center at Plattsburgh, all the earth and environmental science programs, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the cool facilities that they have. We're in a really good area, I think, geographically for those programs. It's pretty unique, I think. We're actually, our campus is in Plattsburgh. We're right on Lake Champlain, and we're also right outside of the Adirondack Mountains. So students in the environmental science, any of those programs, they really get to go outside basically the first week that they're here, and they continue really using the outdoors as their classroom for the whole time that they're here. So we definitely make the most use of our environment. We have the physics department, and we've actually just newly added a robotics department, which is, I think, was kind of a collaboration between computer science and the physics department. Would you like to talk a little bit more about those programs?
Sure. So the physics program is basically your standard physics program. You'll get a well-rounded background in how the universe works, which is sort of a neat thing. My grandmother once asked me, what does a physicist do? And I say, we explain everything, Grandma. That was our job. So you'll get a nice rounded background there. Also, we have a 3-2 program where you go here for 3 years for a physics degree, and you finish almost all your credits here. You get all the courses for physics out of the way. And then you go to another institution, whether it be another SUNY institution like SUNY Buffalo, or places like Clarkson, RPI, University of Arizona, we've sent somebody to go and complete their last 2 years, and there you study whatever discipline of engineering you're interested in, be it mechanical, electrical. We haven't done computer, but we have done aeronautical, we've done civil, a variety of programs. And so you go there, and at the end of the 5 years, when you graduate from that institution, you transfer some of the credits back here, and you get your Bachelor's of Arts here. So you end up leaving with a Bachelor's of Arts in Physics and a Bachelor's of Science in Engineering.
So you get 2 degrees out of it.
2 degrees.
I'll just interject. We actually have a similar setup for chemistry too.
That's true.
For
chemical
engineering.
Yep. And it's a really good program, and a lot of our students take advantage of that. We also just added a robotics major, which is fun because it's one of the very few programs in the U.S. that are focused strictly on undergraduates. So computer science and physics got together, and we decided we wanted to make a program that gave you all the basic tools that if you wanted to go to graduate school, you could, but at the same time, if you wanted to go into the workforce, you could also. And we had outside people come in and evaluate the program, and they thought what we were setting up was a good idea. So this is the first year that this major has been created. So we are excited to see how this program takes off.
Yeah, we're really kind of ramping things up to stay up and stay ahead of the STEM trend. So we're really excited to offer the new robotics program. I'll go back to some of I mentioned that a lot of students are interested in health careers. I mentioned some of the biology programs, but I did just want to mention we also have students that are particularly interested in going to like med school, dentistry, veterinary science. A lot of them will choose one of the biology majors, but we have those different tracks where we have a pre-health advisory committee, and they will help those students who are interested in health professions get job shadowing opportunities, internships. We've had students that have observed eye surgeries at Eye Care for the Adirondacks here in Plattsburgh. So there is a committee that is there to help those students stay on track towards certain health professions. I know that's a popular field within STEM, certainly. All right. So I have another polling question for you guys, if I can pull it up here. Oops. Here we go. Okay. So this one, what unique hands-on learning opportunities are you really excited about participating in? So internships and research projects, maybe different honor societies, learning experiences in the classroom, or a study abroad experience. Give me a few seconds. Learning opportunities in the classroom was the winner. So we'll have you guys talk about that in just a second. So we'll move on to the next slide here. There we go. Okay, so I'll just highlight a few, very few. I can't go into all of them, but there's a lot, regardless of what major you're in at Plattsburgh. Some really unique learning opportunities that we have here. I know specifically for students interested in biology, health sciences, there is a really cool 12-credit research-intensive course called Bio 490 that you can take in your upperclassmen years. It's a year-long thing, and you get to work on a research project and actually go to different regional or national conferences and actually present the findings of those. Kind of to prepare you for that, there's actually some courses within the different majors like biology and chemistry, for example, Chem 391, where the course specifically teaches you to prepare, to present, discuss, and analyze your research results. So that's a really valuable skill set to have, I think really regardless of what major you're going into. Some other cool projects that students have worked on here at Plattsburgh, we've had students do chemical analysis for NASA's Project Stardust, where they actually basically came back with some samples from a comet that I think they landed on, and students here were doing some chemical analysis of that. Students have created small robots using a 3D printer and other materials, and I think would just be a good time to show our little,
at least this one little guy here,
things that we brought here.
Yeah. Okay. So, matter of fact, I'm teaching right now a course on Introduction to Robotics, and I'm having my class right now build one of these. So this is something. This one I designed, but I've had students in the past design robotics that we've used. And so we build these robots, and they're going to, what's nice about this, I used to do one that was a sort of a kit, it was all together. And while it did teach robotics, the bad thing was they didn't know what it went to go into actually making the robot. So this is now an in-class project. We build this from scratch. They had wires that they have to wire. They have to put all their boards in. They have to understand how this whole thing goes together. So when they put it on a board and they tell it to go to a certain XY location, it can do so. And that's a pretty neat thing, because you can talk about things in the classroom, but when you actually physically see it do the thing that you talked about, there's a certain excitement there. Now, robotics I'm sort of new to, but even to this day, when I get to show off like a skill set that I've developed, and also you get it and actually do it and it works, you know, that's an endorphin hit. That's a great thing to have happen. And as such, that gets exciting. And so these are some of the opportunities we do in our classes today.
Was any of that made using the 3D printer?
Actually, this whole thing was made.
Oh, the whole thing, okay.
So the wheels and
So-
the bodies and even this little pieces for noting where it is on board. All of this was designed and printed on a 3D printer.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, we do. We have another course. I'll just plug this one of my other courses. That I teach Fundamentals of Engineering Design. In that course, you come into the course, and the first week I teach you how the world is broken, and the fact that there are opportunities around you everywhere to improve upon what's out there. And I challenge my students to come up with a product or an idea that would fix a certain problem. And throughout the rest of the semester, they work on developing that idea. And by the end, in an ideal case, they present this in a quote-unquote Shark Tank session. And they show, like, okay, this is my product. This is the market I'm going to go into. This is what I see market growth. This is how I would fund it, how much I need to get started. And so so you get to get the experience of how to take something from an idea, your idea, all the way to a concrete thing at the end of the course. So the students usually get very excited about that, because it's always neat. They think, oh, I got this great idea. But until you actually do it, that's where the neat thing comes into
Nice
play.
to see it like come to life.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess the fun thing with the robots. What are some neat projects or assignments that students will be doing within the computer science or information technology
Sure.
courses?
So a lot of students, you know, they like to make games or web apps or mobile phone apps. So those are probably the most popular things.
App design?
App design and implementation, yeah.
Thank you. Also, for anyone who's interested in maybe the environmental science or the environmental studies programs, we actually have a residential semester where students can go to Minor Institute, which is up in Shazy. It's just about 15 minutes north of here. They take, you know, full semester's worth of classes, 5 courses, and then they actually get to spend basically the rest of their day out in the field doing research. So we really take advantage of the area that we're in. Great. Talk a little bit more about some of the different facilities. So I'll highlight a few of the buildings on campus. Ausable Hall is actually our newest building on campus, and that houses, in addition to our business programs, it currently houses the Center for Cybersecurity and Technology. Would you mind talking a little bit about what goes on there?
Sure. So mainly it's a place, you know, security tools are somewhat dangerous in terms that you can cause damage, unintended damage. And so the cybersecurity lab mainly is an isolated location in some sense from the networking perspective, where students can play with these different cybersecurity toys and tools and all sorts of stuff in order to learn about them and get some hands-on experience with it.
Thank you. Beaumont Hall also houses our physics laboratories, and I believe most of the computer science classes as well. Can you talk a little bit about some of the physics labs that are available?
Well, actually, so a bunch of those are still in Hudson, but
Okay.
but we are moving over. The robotics lab will be moved over to Beaumont as of this fall. So we have the facilities we have for the physics. I'll talk a little bit about Hudson if that's okay as well.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So the physics labs, the freshman physics labs and the sophomore physics labs, are relatively modern and up to date, which is really great. Because we just had these facilities built, what, 3-4 years ago, where we finished it, and so they have brand new equipment in there. It runs extremely well, and it gives you an opportunity once again to get more hands-on learning in a controlled environment. On the robotics side, what's exciting about that is we're right now defining what a lot of those courses are and bringing them up. So while we have facilities, we're still they're morphing over time. There's not a static place right now. And so right now I am in Hudson with my facility for doing this introduction to robotics, but soon it'll be in Beaumont. And one of the exciting things for me is over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about where it's going to be and how it's going to be set up. And so it's a dynamic idea right now.
Great, thank you. Yeah, Hudson Hall is actually, it's our biggest, I think, building on, or biggest science building on campus. It houses currently a lot of the biology, the chemistry labs. We've got some physics over there as well. There's a cool little planetarium there that I really love. I would love to take a class in that because it's got 3 seats that recline back. So you can take a class in there. I would encourage you to do it. But the laboratories are really nice. That building was actually renovated quite recently as well, and a lot of money was put into the building and the equipment. I think close to $47 million worth of equipment. The laboratories are very spacious. They all have laptops and equipment at all the different stations. 30,000 square feet of laboratory and research space. The Lake Champlain Research Institute is housed there. They hire students that work throughout the year. In the summer, there's always a lot of interesting research going on there. They have research vessels that will actually go out on Lake Champlain and do water quality sampling. They have a GIS, Geographic Information Systems lab. They have an NMR machine, which is basically like an MRI machine, but at the molecular level. So there's a lot of really cool equipment in Hudson Hall. If you are able to make it up for a tour on campus, you'll be able to walk through that building and you'll be pretty impressed by the facilities that are available. It's quite spacious and there's a lot going on there.
What's really neat is a lot of this equipment is there for the students. Like at the NMR, there's not many places where an undergraduate gets to go work on an NMR machine, but our students actually get hands-on with that machine. So they get a chance to really experience what it does to drive the machine, to understand what the machine can do. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, you actually get to use those. They're not just reserved for graduate students or something. It's undergraduate level. You get to use that, which is pretty cool. I do want to ask another polling question, if I can get it up here. Oops. There we go. We'll talk about internships in a second. Okay, so you can see this there. This question, so what type of internship or where would you be interested in doing an internship or a research project? Abroad, locally, nationally? Maybe you're not sure yet. A few seconds. Okay, closing this out now. So what's nice with the internship opportunities is that internships, I think, really can take kind of whatever format that you're comfortable with. We've had students go to major companies, nationally, large cities. We've had students do internships locally in the SUNY Plattsburgh area. Students can take advantage of internship opportunities that they set up that are closer to home, like if they want to do something closer to home with a company they're familiar with over the summer months. We've also had students do internships with different departments right on campus. Just a few examples of some places where we've had students go to. Schombeck Worldwide, which is located in Plattsburgh, University of Vermont Health Network, including UVM over in Burlington, Champlain Valley Physicians Hospital located in Plattsburgh, Department of Environmental Conservation. We've had students do internships on campus. I believe they can do an internship with the Center for Cybersecurity and Technology. Is that correct?
Yeah, some students do that.
Awesome. So a lot of internship opportunities. If you have an opportunity that you want to take advantage of, you don't necessarily have to take one that's prescribed. I think as long as you generally present it to your faculty and it's reasonable and it's related to what you're studying, there's a good chance that will be accepted for credit. So a lot of opportunities for that. We've had students do internships with NASA, Pfizer. So big companies, small companies, departments right on campus, whatever you're comfortable with. Before I can move on to the next slide, can you talk about maybe any places that you know that your students have gone to do internships?
It's all over the place. So it's hard to say any one particular place. But one example, this past summer, we had a student do the Google Summer of Code.
Okay, Google.
And we've had students go to IBM. That's some examples of big companies. A lot of them go and they help out at the local school districts over the summer, kind of prepare for the next school year. And then just a variety of companies.
Would you have any advice for a student that's interested in getting an internship in one of the STEM majors?
I would, so if you want to do an internship, there's a lot of times that if you approach a company and just see if they haven't, they might not advertise they have an internship. But if you let them know, like, especially for summers, when we've had students place for summer internships, a lot of times it would be, oh, I would like to really go work for X. I'm like, well, then tell them you want to go do so. But they don't have anything there. I'm like, well, what you can do, I have my students look on the website and say, okay, look at what jobs they have posted, and tailor your letter to something that they, on one of those things that they say they're looking for. Maybe not the whole position because you're not qualified for that, but maybe one or two of those little bullet points you might have some interest or some qualification, and write a letter saying, I wish to be an intern, and these are what I'm looking at doing. And there's a lot of times where a company would be, okay, well, we still need to fill this position. It's a real position. Maybe we get away with another 5 or 6 weeks if we bring somebody else in to do these jobs for now while we're still looking for this position. And it gives them, let's face it, internships are cheaper because you don't have to worry about some of the benefits and things of that nature. So the companies like that. We've actually placed students that way.
I did want to make a little plug for actually just a service that SUNY Plattsburgh offers through our Career Development Center. So for students that are looking for internships or applied learning experiences, not only will they help them find postings and apply for those opportunities, but there's also something that they have called the Applied Learning Grants. So if you have an internship opportunity or an experience, and it's going to cost you some way, like in terms of lodging or transportation, you can actually go to them, and they'll basically help you write kind of like a little mini grant that'll to help you get some financial assistance so that you can take on that opportunity. So that's just kind of a nice little perk that we have here. Right, so I think we'll move on to the internships and start talking a little bit about career opportunities. So as I mentioned earlier, STEM really is a growing field in terms of the careers that are out there. STEM-related jobs are actually expected to number 9 million by 2022, which is about a 13% growth increase for right now. And the median salary for workers just in STEM in general is about $76,000, which is basically double the median wage for almost any other field, generally speaking. So there are a lot of job opportunities. They're good paying jobs. So you will be very employable, either at the point of graduation or you go on to pursue different graduate studies. But our students, I think, have a very good success rate in terms of being prepared for employment after graduation here. I think there is another question. All right. Last poll question. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, or what's your dream job? And this isn't everything, but maybe just pick the one that is closest to you, or maybe you're not sure yet. Computer support specialist, or maybe something within computer science or programming. Biomedical technician, medical technologist, other, or not sure yet. Give you a few seconds. Okay, so let's talk about some of the different career opportunities that are out there for STEM majors. So, yeah, not everything that's available. I won't read all of them, but this gives you some good ideas to start thinking about. Become a computer systems analyst, information security, go into medical technology. We talked earlier about working in labs doing food analysis, biopsy analysis, become a genetic counselor, become a chemist, go into engineering, all sorts of different types of engineering, become a geoscientist, environmental scientist, go into teaching, become an earth science teacher. Really, I think there's endless possibilities. What are some of the things that you find your students going into when they eventually leave SUNY Plattsburgh? I don't know if
many of those.
Many of those, okay.
There isn't one. Computing is in so many different things, and there's so many different ways to be applied. Software developer is probably the biggest one, but those other ones are also.
I've had students range from working in the mint, developing ink for money, to designing airplanes for Boeing, to working in New York City to develop bridges. It really comes down, it's amazing where you can find STEM fields. I also have a student who works in Maine currently doing problem analysis for credit fraud. It really, because once again, she knew how to handle big equations, play around with things and models, and that's what it comes down to. So you find that a STEM education really prepares you for a lot of different things out there, because you know how to think critically, you know how to analyze a problem and break it down into individual chunks that are easier to attack. And usually you have ability to retrain yourself. One of the things that when I point out to my students all the time is, while you're here, you're trying to learn how to speak the language of science, how to basically put the grammar parts together. But what you're writing with your life will be what's out there, and you might change what that is 2 or 3 times. I mean, I'm a physicist who pretended to be an engineer for a bunch of years, who went back to teaching, who's now becoming a roboticist.
Well, and many of the most successful people on Wall Street started as physicists and rocket scientists.
Yep. No, it's amazing where you can use your knowledge. The biggest thing is just getting in there and applying yourself and learning what's there.
Well, I think the key takeaway there is don't box yourself in. There are many different opportunities. I think no matter what major you end up in, you can go a lot of different ways with all of them. So we just selected a couple of examples of some careers just to give you an idea of like the job outlooks and median salaries. For example, we talked about a medical technologist who collects samples and does tests to analyze body fluids, tissue, and other substances. The job outlook, they're looking at about a 16% increase between 2014 and 2024. Median salary as of 2015 was over $50,000 a year. So that's actually pretty great salary starting right out of a bachelor's degree. Computer systems analyst, studying at an organization's computer systems, information system solutions to help with different organizations' needs. Their job outlook between 2014 and 2024, that's estimated to grow by about 21%. Median salary as of 2015 was about $85,000 a year. So that's really great salary coming out of the bachelor's degree. Okay. And there are different clubs and organizations that you can join at SUNY Plattsburgh, and I would highly encourage you to check some of these out. We have a big club fair at the beginning of each semester here at Plattsburgh, so there's a lot of opportunities to get to know what's offered, sign up for a few, especially the ones that are really related to the programs here. I think they're great networking opportunities. They're really great in terms of being able to go out to different events, participate in conferences. They're very active. So we have just a few examples: the Chemical Society, the Environmental Action Committee, there's the Math Club, Physics Club, Wildlife Club. There's a Health Professions Club, so for students that are really interested in going into the different health sciences fields. Special accreditations I mentioned earlier, since some of our programs do have special accreditations in addition to the middle states accreditation. The American Chemical Society, you can actually, if you're in the chemistry major, there's a certain track you can take to make sure that you get that extra certification, which looks really good. When you're applying for jobs, if you're looking to apply into graduate school, it's kind of like a really nice asterisk on your resume that's going to help set you apart. Any clubs and organizations that you find that your students are really attracted to, or that you think are good things for students to get involved in here at Plattsburgh?
You want to go first? I can go first. So obviously I'm gonna pick Physics Club because I'm the advisor for that club. What we do, I joke around because I will go to the beginning of the freshman year to when people come in and say, "Do you want to come to our physics club?" And then you get some giggles. And you're like, "No, we don't go up on a whiteboard and do equations the whole time. We can if you want to, but that's not what we do." We're almost like a maker club now. We go to competitions. We've done pumpkin chucking. We've built trebuchets to throw pumpkins as far as we can. Lately, we've been doing robotics competitions. Last year, I took 5 students with me, to Ohio to do the National Robotics Challenge. And we competed in 2 different events. We didn't do well, but that's okay because it's a learning opportunity. In the past, we've actually done the NASA Centennial Rover Challenge, where we built a rover that had to go out into a football field, find a purple rock and a piece of PVC and bring it back to base all by itself. We're hopefully going to do, there's a challenge coming up for DARPA that does a subterranean robot challenge. I find the students really like it. if you were looking to do go to a technical school, they have these teams out there that will be doing all these various things. And what I like about Plattsburgh is you get this connection with the people who are doing the clubs and the teachers, but we still do some of that stuff that supposedly you can only get at bigger institutions. We do have that. Now we don't have 5 of these things going on at the same time, which you would get at a place that might be an engineering school. But you still will have the one or two things that semester to be able to go out and do. And that's important because as one of my students put together, when we were doing the NASA rover channel, she looked up at me one day and said, this is everything I was learning in here put into one. And he really could see that connections, and it ended up working out for him because he got a job because of what we were doing on the NASA rover challenge. He was able to put that on his resume and show that he could take a big complex problem and knock it down in these little pieces and be successful in how to do that.
Thank you.
Sure. Many of our students are in a software engineering club, and so the thing that they've been doing is hackathons.
Okay.
Different hackathons, and there's a couple of students who are looking at us hosting one in the spring. So they're doing that.
Awesome. So we'll have that at Plattsburgh here, hopefully.
Yeah.
Awesome. So keep an eye out for that. Get some information about that on our website. So maybe if you're interested, you can come up and see what that's all about. Right, and just a couple of examples of some alumni outcomes. So we've had Carolyn Moody, class of 2013, who is currently working at the University of Vermont Health Networks, Elizabeth Town Community Hospital, as a licensed clinical laboratory technologist. There's also Sam Wagner, who graduated in 2010, and he actually went kind of the engineering, the 3+2 engineering route. So he ended up with his bachelor's in physics from Plattsburgh. Then I believe he actually got his engineering degree from UVM.
Yes, that's correct.
And so he is currently working as an engineer for Electro Impact Aerospace Engineering in Seattle. So some pretty awesome outcomes from our students, and those are certainly not the only successful. I mean, I would say we've got some really great placement rates and students going out and doing really remarkable things once they graduate here. So certainly your background in a STEM major at Plattsburgh is going to set you up well to do some awesome things when you're looking for careers, looking to go into graduate school. So we prepare you really well for that. We'll wrap up with some different admissions requirements and scholarships, speak specifically about kind of what we're looking for to be successful in a STEM major. The numbers that you can kind of see on the screen here, this is a snapshot of what I would say the average student has coming into SUNY Plattsburgh. So for a student that's coming in from high school, typically, typical GPA for a student coming in is somewhere between an 85 to a 92. So we're looking for generally a solid B or higher. Average SAT score would be about a 1060 to an 1180 between the math and the critical reading, or a 21 to a 25 on the ACT. We do require either the SAT or the ACT, one or the other, or you can take both and send both to us. We'll use your best result. For anyone who's looking at transferring in from another college, average student comes in with between a 2.6 to a 3.3 GPA. Something that I want to point out specifically to STEM majors, most of these programs do require that you have at least 3 years of math and 3 years of science in high school for admissions into those programs. Usually at a minimum, so most of the STEM majors, so that's including biology, the environmental science programs, physics, they're looking for that math sequence, which is usually algebra, geometry, algebra 2, trig. If you can take courses like pre-calculus and calculus, that's helpful. We like to see that. We like to see that you have a strong background, that you have solid grades in those areas. We like to see that you've also had 3 years of sciences coming into any of the STEM programs. And in some programs, I know particularly in the biology and chemistry department, they want to make sure that you have at least biology and chemistry coming in. I'm assuming if you want to go into physics or robotics, it's helpful to have physics in high school.
Yeah.
But you should at least have, a few science courses in high school, have a strong background, be doing well in that area. Would you both attest to that?
Yeah.
It will definitely help.
Yeah.
At least pre-calc for the computing ones. Otherwise, you're going to have to spend a semester or two catching up.
Yep.
It's possible to do so.
Yeah, yeah, but it
should be, yeah.
So I guess take a challenging curriculum in high school, make sure that you're getting that solid foundation in math and science so that you can come here and take the prerequisite courses to stay on track and go throughout the major. Yep. STEM scholarship information. So New York State actually has a STEM incentive program which provides a full SUNY scholarship to the top 10% of students in each New York State high school as long as they're pursuing a STEM degree. In either an associate's or a bachelor's degree program, and then they agree to live in New York State and work in a STEM field in New York for 5 years after graduation. There's a lot of details on one slide, but if you go to hesc.ny.gov, I've got the website up here, but hesc.ny.gov, and you can actually find it by searching in the toolbar STEM scholarship. They'll have all the information and all the eligibility requirements and how to apply for that scholarship right on that website. So definitely anyone interested in one of these programs, check that out, and it's a great opportunity. Just a few more admissions details, dates and deadlines just in terms of getting your application in. For anybody who's interested in applying for the fall semester, which starts at the end of August, we're taking applications now for 2019. For freshmen, we recommend that your application be in and completed by December 1st. So that's with your application form, your transcript, your SAT or ACT scores. For transfer students, you have a little bit more time. We recommend having the application in by March 1st, especially if you're still in school, so we can see that that fall semester's worth of grades, and we like to see that. The FAFSA, that's the application for financial aid, we recommend that be in around the middle of December. And then if you've decided that Plattsburgh is where you want to attend, we ask that you submit, it's a $250 deposit that goes towards your fall bill by May 1st. That guarantees your spot in the program that you've been accepted into. If you wait until after May 1st, it will depend on if there's still room in a particular program. So May 1st is pretty universal for most colleges, so just star that on your calendar. That's when we ideally would really like for you to have a decision. Anybody looking at coming in the spring semester, which starts in January, those dates are just pushed back earlier. For both transfers and freshmen, have your application in by November 1st, file your FAFSA around the same time, and the recommended deposit deadline is December 1st. All of the job statistics that we gave you on today's presentation, you can check those out at the Bureau of Labor website, bls.gov. So that is where all of our information regarding job growth, median salaries, that's where that's coming from today. And there's a lot more information there if you want to check out like certain careers and anticipated job growth and salaries. So I'd encourage you to check that out. When we do have a couple of visit opportunities coming up this fall. So we're having an open house here Saturday, October 20th. Also Saturday, November 17th. There will be faculty, there will be staff, there will be people from all sorts of different departments on campus, and you'll get to tour and see a lot of the facilities that we were talking about today. So if you're able to come up for that, you can sign up online and register, and we'd love to see you here. One more little plug, if we'd love you to stay connected with us on social media. You can search with the hashtag PlattsLife, and you'll see all sorts of stuff from current students. We'll post information about different upcoming events. So just kind of a cool way to stay connected with us and see what's going on at Plattsburgh. All right, so that is the end of our presentation. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, and thank you for participating and bringing the little robots. We love having those. So thank you. This will be on the website, so you can go back to it, and feel free to contact us if you have any additional questions. You can always reach us at admissions@plattsburgh.edu. Great, thanks, and have a great night.